Not at all, not at all. How are you doing with the altitude?
I'm okay. I've been here for 9 days, so I'm just like...
You're used to it.
I'm used to it.
Are you staying through the
Through Monday, yeah. So.
I'm gonna sit on the floor and like stretch out my back. That's all right.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm 70. I'll turn 72 this year. This right here. We'll do this.
Great.
The altitude gives my tummy problems.
I just have a breath all the time.
And that too, yeah.
Yeah. How many Sundances is this?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't counted. I think maybe 7 or 8. I think.
And I'm just curious, like, because you have gone 7 or 8 times over 10, 12 years or so, I'm guessing?
I'd say like maybe 16 years.
What's changed? I mean, does it feel different coming here?
Yeah.
As sort of a...
It's so different, yeah. It's, there's, our culture has changed so much since the early 90s, you know?
Yeah, and this festival's changed a lot since the early 90s, too.
Yeah. And this festival also brought in the popularity of other festivals, right? Yeah. So now, in the independent cinema, where you used to go to the theater and you could see independent movies in theaters, now there's kind of a movement and festivals popping up in different cities. You go with your friends, you go volunteer. You know, there's how many volunteers? Like 1,200?
No, too many.
And it's like it's an experience to share with a group of people, which is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's like kind of like summer camp, but
yeah, or Burning Man. I just had this really funny image of all the volunteers having this other experience, like close to like what Burning Man is.
Who knows? Maybe behind closed doors.
Like then it'll just like turn into something else entirely. But and this woman that I met yesterday in a kitchen backstage somewhere had at the Times Talk had this was her 6th year coming here. She's in her 60s. She had gray hair with like a purple streak. And she's made friends, and
nice.
You know, it's a whole scene. You guys have your whole experience, and then the actors. I was on the jury a couple of years ago, so that was a whole other thing. So it really feels like an institute, yeah, which it is. And so I'm here this year with, with a movie that wants to be sold.
So I mean, going
and it's also kind of like coming back to my beginnings, because it's a real independent movie. You know, it's not like it's a real independent movie. It's less than $1 million. Also, although I heard today it was 18, but still, I think to do because I'm bad with numbers. I think to do a proper independent movie, it's usually my experience a 22 to 23 day shoot, yeah. Like Party Girl or House of Yes, or but now with the digital camera, like the budgets have gotten even smaller, right? And the days have gotten shorter.
And how does it affect your process? Because acting's still the same.
It's there's more. I think when you work like this, there's just it's very risky. I think it's for me, I was God, wow, I can't. Like, I think the script is so good. I think it's compelling. It's about grown-ups. It says something about our culture. It says something about men and women. It has. It's not. It's a voice of. It has a singular voice of a. Oh, I love that shirt. Of a writer and a director, and story that he came up with. Right. Yeah. He had this idea, and his friends were turning 40, and they were, having to make compromises in their lives. And, the music industry is gone.
More or less.
It's gone. So what do you do, when you lose your passion, or you have to make decisions that are, grown-up decisions. And he saw his friends doing that. Okay, I have to compromise. I have kids. I have to compromise now. And support my family and support, what my wife wants and whatever. I mean, I think it's an interesting talking about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, your character almost represents sort of the opposite of that, as someone who is very ambitious, like remarkably ambitious, borderline sociopathic to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, to embody someone like that must have been someone intense, especially when you are under time constraints, to pull off what was, really good performance.
Thank you.
And sort of get a very unique
This is someone, I'm always watching people. I'm always, frustrated that there are roles out there, there are women out there that are fascinating to me. There are things in our culture that I see that, I want to express, and, it's my passion to express that, right? So I go like, oh, look what's happened in our culture. Look at these women. Look at this. Look what they get away with, or different ideas of what is powerful, right? And what a woman in power looks like, or so I she's great in a lot of ways, and she's getting what she wants. But what kind of person is she on the inside? What place is she living from?
Yeah.
How in touch is she with I don't know if I was talking about this in the Q&A last night, but when I was talking to people about, their bosses and these high-power jobs and these corporate jobs where the jobs are online, especially now, like it's an intense time. And people talk about their bosses having, personality disorders, whether it's manic depression or bipolar or, what are the other ones? Help me.
I mean, those are the big two. But just Asperger's.
Because, the ability to focus intensely on something and get others to do it, and
to almost kind of give up your entire life outside of it.
Well, it becomes her life.
Yeah.
She makes it her life. She defines herself by that. And she's in a fantasy, and that's the other thing that's so much fun to play. Full-blown narcissist is that, you see, like, and it's funny too when something means a lot to a person, but on the outside you're like, wow, it really means a lot to you. You're going to throw yourself literally on the floor and scream and pull your hair out, It's just funny.
It is. I mean, and one thing I keep thinking about with, you clearly work mostly within independent film as opposed to studio, though you have worked both. But
I'm trying to work in studio movies and they won't hire me.
But on top of that, though,
I'm too indie. There's feedback from the studios, and when there's like, oh, there's a studio movie, I get feedback from my agent saying she's too much of an indie queen. And then on the other side, I don't get the financing. My name doesn't get the financing to do a movie over $1 million.
Yeah, that's
and I'm called the indie queen. So it's really a challenging path because I know so much about this side, right, of the independent film side, because I grew up in it. It's like coming back to. It's like I'm back in junior high or something here, and there's John Cooper and David Courier and all these people that I took across, like, oh yeah, we were all around, we all grew up together,
Yeah.
And but it's just it's different times, and so this stuff is projected onto me. Is like, okay, I'll sure. They're like, you're here every year. You do so many movies. Like, no, I did Broken English 5 years ago, and before that, and so it's just not. It's not the same. Our culture is not the same. Independent film and the way people, people go to festivals now. They're not supporting the movies in the theater, and it's just, I think it. Maybe it got oversaturated. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it did get oversaturated, and they're just not. A lot of films.
The mystique has been lost. I think there's a lot of copying going on.
And people don't have the same amount of money. Like, people aren't buying films for the same amount of money, and those movies aren't making as much anymore, which is just too bad. There's a couple indie breakouts every year, but gone are sort of those mid '90s, early 2000 days. Which is, it's too bad. I mean, how do you cope with? I mean, what's your sort of strategy to push
Well,
through
you
that?
just you manage your attachments and your expectations, and you're grateful for just having a job and that you're sustaining yourself in these times in our culture that is in trouble.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it bounces back.
It has to. I think people are upset, I think the Occupy Wall Street thing, the movement of this, like, you know what? I don't want to be judged. I don't want my movie to be judged on how much money it makes. This is a great country. Where are those values of those, those old philosophers and those people that were those pioneers, right? Where are those values?
I mean, they're in Occupy Wall Street, at least.
They're there.
Are
they in the film industry any? Are they in this film industry anymore? Where's the responsibility? The arts aren't subsidized, and it's you see what the culture focuses on. It's really disturbing.
And it's really, I mean, I'm Canadian and still go back and forth and have a lot of filmmaker friends there, and it's so easy for them to just, because it is subsidized and they can't get grant money and it's about art, and those movies aren't expected to make money because they don't.
Yeah,
and
I know. And it could be, you're allowed to be artists.
Absolutely. And here, that's, it's all about money in the end. Unless you have a lot of power, which not that many people do.
Did you like Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I know. I'm going to do something with him tonight, and it's all about, you asked earlier, this is about embracing new forms and always looking forward, and as easy as it is for me to be nostalgic in these times and to come here and bemoan the days of the old indie days where it started, and they were glory years, but you do think that things are just going to get better. Like, oh my God, the art of this, these directors are they're gonna flourish, they're gonna blossom, and you go, I wonder if our system, capitalism, is it's gonna step on it, but I also think that there's there are new forms that arise from that kind of repression and collectively,
Yeah, and at least one good thing about today is that it is cheaper to make a movie, and at least people can, find ways of doing it outside of any system. They can just do it, and that's great. But
yes, so this is a grown-up movie, right?
It's a grown-up movie. Sorry, let's go.
And it's yeah. But this is a grown-up movie, and I think when you see a movie like this one, it makes you aware of how few movies just deal with people in their 40s.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's not, no one's throwing up, and, it's not this concept.
It's just a, nice movie about adults for adults,
Yeah, and it's his, it says something.
It does say something, a lot about what we were just talking about. About these times,
Yeah.
From one person's perspective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, so it's great to be here and to have like a part of a filmmaker who could have a career now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really, really exciting, and he deserves it. Hopefully, I mean, Susan, she takes whatever she wants,
and it works out.
And she gets it.
And that happens, sadly.
And that happens.
My last two questions were the awards. Are you excited to host the awards?
Oh, yeah, I really am.
Yeah?
I really am, yeah. Because I just know how, what a special time it is for filmmakers and actors and everybody to have their movie here.
Yeah. And they're all so new.
Yeah. Have you gotten to see what are some movies that you really loved?
I really loved Simon Killer, which is from. I mean, it's very dark, not
It's
for everyone.
Antonio
It's kind
Chavez?
of. It's amazing. Yeah, it's like American Psycho in
I
Paris.
love him.
He's great. How to Survive a Plague, which is a documentary about the AIDS crisis.
Great.
It was just stunning.
That.
And those are two like some standouts for me.
Isn't it crazy that there's so much talent and people can really make these incredible movies, and like we may not see them?
Yeah, it's tough.
I hope that the internet, it becomes like a new way to curate these movies somehow.
It's just the only issue is monetizing that, because you can put them on, but if you don't make any money, then how are you going to keep making them,
Yeah, when it's not subsidized.
We all should just move to Canada. But
I know, it's really... It's interesting how many violent movies are out right now. And there's so much violence.
It's sad.
Yeah, and you go,
And what are you working on something now, or what's next for you?
I don't know, really. Like, don't be such a downer, Parker. I am going to do the Louis C.K. show at the end of February.
Oh, I love him.
I love him.
He's a true genius.
He's so great. Can't wait. And then I'm doing a play that starts at Yale Rep, and then in March.
Okay.
And yeah, hoping for a paying job.
I'm sure it'll work.
I hope so. It has so far. I'm blessed.
Well, it's good to have that optimism. Yeah, it was great meeting you too.
Help this old lady up.